Today we're in Johannesburg with the Minister of Education at the National Lekgotla. Mr. Manana, what is the aim of the National Lekgotla?
Well, the aim is really to get more of our young people and to develop interest in entrepreneurship and really bringing universities to actually catalyze, that vision of entrepreneurship. So we feel that more of our young people, when they exit the university system, they tend to go and look for jobs and become job seekers, whereas they can actually become, job creators. And we feel that universities must be central in inculcating that culture of entrepreneurship, in the minds of our youth, in the minds of our young people. And so this is the whole plan, because I've just realized that so many universities have been involved in entrepreneurship, but they've been working in silos. How do we then integrate these efforts? How do we, forge greater collaborations? And I think this Lekgotla is trying to achieve exactly that. Let us not work in isolation from each other. Let us not work in silos for the system to benefit. I would imagine had we collaborated much earlier, we would be far as a country. And as I always say, the growth of the economy rests on the shoulders of small businesses, of skilled people, and of really educated people. And obviously universities, have the research infrastructure, have the research capacity, and so entrepreneurship cannot happen if there is no research done on how it can be introduced, how it can be implemented, and all of that. So that aspect of research becomes very important. I know studies have been conducted, some research papers have been published on entrepreneurship, but how do we coordinate our efforts so that we speak in one voice? The university sector has one strategy. Whether that strategy must be developed at a national level, at a policy level, but it must be informed by universities themselves. They must come together and say, this is how we can best implement this.
Mr. Manana, this sounds like fantastic news, and I'm sure this is something that universities throughout the country really wants to do. Do you have examples of practical programs that universities can do, that you've seen best practice throughout the world of practical programs that really work?
A practical example is UJ. UJ has a number of business initiatives, and that is why at other instances, whilst many other universities would battle with their finances, UJ would actually not battle much because they have established their own business entities. So and they've tried to integrate entrepreneurship in their academic project, and this has created, in a way, a third stream income for them. And we call on other universities to learn from this best practice. I have visited a resolution circle before. I've seen the good work that is done here. So many companies are actually established to support the university, but also students are then taken through the entire value chain to appreciate and understand what entrepreneurship is about through this a project of UJ. So this is the best example, and I couldn't have agreed more to have UJ or Resolution Circle actually hosting this first Lekgotla. So we are hopeful that other universities will come on board, will see value in this, and will actually then be assisted in creating some third stream income or getting some other sources to support them. But most importantly, getting those youngsters, getting those students more and more involved in entrepreneurship.
Minister, we've heard this morning that you showed incredible entrepreneurial abilities and leadership qualities of being very young and enthusiastic and work yourself up in your career. Any word of advice or something for our youth and our students to reach that path of becoming a student entrepreneur to a young entrepreneur?
Well, I want to really say to our students, there are many challenges that we are encountering currently, but they should stay the course of education. so many of the students that I have engaged, universities and colleges, they've said to me, we are frustrated, we are going through these difficulties. And I've said to them, if you can persevere and really focus your head on the ball, your eyes on the ball, and succeed in your learning, because a university and a college is a conduit. It's not a permanent place to stay. It's a conduit. It actually, moves you from one aspect of life to the other. So I want to say to our students, in the context, of course, of entrepreneurship, that we want them to be entrepreneurs. We want them to start their own businesses, and that culture, if we infuse it in our curriculum, it will then translate into them becoming entrepreneurs and captains of industry of tomorrow. So we want them in that space. The difficulties that they are experiencing in terms of fees must fall and many other issues are things that, as government, working with all stakeholders, working with universities, working with the private sector, we will find a lasting solution to them. But they must not use that to actually draw themselves back because they have a bright future. Let them, persevere. These are challenging times economically, and that is why we can't achieve some of the things, but we are saying the future looks bright for them. They must stay the course of education, they must develop interest in entrepreneurship. We want them as future business leaders of our country. We want them to help us grow the economy of our country, and they are better placed as university students to help us do that, because universities, as I said earlier, are best suited to catalyze entrepreneurship. We want to say to our students, they must learn, and never do any other thing other than learning, because it is through education that they can actually succeed, that they can actually be liberated and remove themselves from the bondages of poverty, of unemployment, of inequality. No banning of infrastructure, it is counterproductive. Don't encourage them to do that. No matter the difficulties, they must not ban structures that will in future benefit their children and their grandchildren. They should, of course, exercise their constitutional right to assemble, to picket, and to raise their grievances with university management, but they should never get into the space of wanting to ban our university property, of wanting to intimidate our academic staff, of wanting to ban amenities of the university. It is not right, it's counterproductive, but we'll have the conversation until we have lasting solutions.
I think the key of changing is to see leaders and giving good messages. You say it's challenging times. Through challenging times, transformation starts now, and if not now, then when? Thank you so much.
Thank you indeed. Thank you for having me.